Hi everyone, this is Andrew Fuge for the Rockland Arts Festival. I'm joined today by Mitchell Visoky, who is an artist and also a senior member of the Mamaroneck Artists Guild. We're going to start, Mitchell, by talking about your art, and perhaps you'd like to tell us about your artistic journey and where you are at present.
Okay, thank you for inviting me for today. I guess I should start in the beginning. I grew up upstate in Sullivan County, Monticello, New York, and all through high school, I was interested in art. That was my main focus. And I started out going to school for commercial art. That's what it was called in those days. Now it might be called graphic arts or illustration, things like that. But then I sort of like took a little bit of a turn and started studying art education up in Buffalo State College. And so I became an art teacher, which was, I guess, at that time a little bit more stable in terms of the art careers that were available. And I taught for about a little over 30 years in various different schools, but the bulk of my teaching was in Croton, New York. And I retired there in 2008, 15 years ago. But all through college and all through high school and all through working, I tried to maintain some kind of art practice. It was very hard when I was teaching, coming home after a day's work to think about like my own artwork, but I was able to, squeeze in some time in the evenings and weekends and on my own artwork. And in those days, I was mostly doing oil paintings, things like that. And I sort of got into printmaking, which I took in college, but I started going to workshops up in Connecticut at the Center for Contemporary Printmaking and learned about monotypes, which are one-of-a-kind prints, rather than doing an edition, which I really didn't enjoy. So I started out doing monotypes. I also learned a lot about encaustic painting with using wax. So I started using wax in my painting and developed a whole series of different types of work using, wax. I've done a lot of mixed media work with printmaking and collage. I was always fascinated with collage work. So I've done a variety of different things. I've also worked in fused glass. I had an artist residency at Bullseye Glass here in Mamaroneck. So I did a 3-month artist in residency learning about fused glass. But regardless of all the different mediums I've worked in, my main focus was to make sure that my feelings, my ideas, what I wanted to say carried across the mediums, so that with whatever medium you looked at, you could tell that it was my work. Right now I'm working in acrylic painting, doing some large abstract acrylic work. Years ago, when I first started working in art, I did mostly realistic work. Now I'm doing more abstract work that I've developed over the years. And I'm having a show of this new work coming up in November at Manhattanville College at the Berger Gallery in November. So, I've taken a lot of, workshops. I've taken a lot of, classes over the course of the years. I've exhibited locally in the tri-state area, upstate in Binghamton at the Orazio Gallery. I've been in a lot of juried shows. I've been very involved with the Mamaroneck Artists Guild over the last, I would say, 15 years as well. And I'm a co-president there now.
That's really interesting. I was wondering, before we go on to talk about the Artists Guild, you mentioned messages. Now, are there any consistent messages or themes that run through your artwork?
Well, in the beginning, I was very keyed into the environment, whether it was the natural environment or the built environment. And over the course of time, I've really developed like an architectural feeling in my work. I don't have like a specific message, in terms of a social issue with things like that. They're more artistic messages in terms of composition, color, form. I grew up, in the 50s and the 60s, mid-century, and a lot of my work really relates to that sort of time period in art. Um, I'm more concerned about the color and the form and the composition rather than a social message.
I understand. So how did you become involved in the Mamaroneck Artists Guild, and what does the guild do for the arts community?
Well, back in 15 years ago, I was taking my master's program at the College of New Rochelle, and one of the instructors there was involved with the Mamaroneck Artists Guild, and she said, "Oh, you should apply for membership, and your work is really good," and blah blah blah. And so I became a member and exhibited my work there. And over the course of time, I felt like networking with other artists was a really important factor for my own work and being an artist. It really gave me a lot of knowledge and insight to my own work. Speaking with other artists, seeing what struggles they were going through, what accomplishments they had. And it was a really valuable and helpful thing to be part of, a community of artists. I think every artist should have a community for support and networking. It really helps. So I became a member, and over the course of time, people there said, "Oh, you should be on the board. You should, get more involved," and which I did. And I was president for a couple of years. I was co-president with somebody. Right now, the Guild is present. We've been based mostly in Larchmont, New York over the last many years, but the Guild itself started out in Mamaroneck with 7 artists that used to bring models up from the city to do like sketches at somebody's house and painting at somebody's local house. And the group got bigger and bigger and bigger, and they, decided that they needed a bigger space, a commercial space. So they found a place in Mamaroneck called the Barn, and they were there for many years. And then the organization from there moved to Larchmont for some reason, which I don't know. None of the 7 original members, are alive right now, but they moved to Larchmont, New York. And this is, I would say, the present location we're in now is the 3rd location. The first location was a very small little space. The owner needed the space to enlarge their space. It was a real estate office next door. He wanted the space back. So we moved around the corner and had that space for several years. And then our membership really grew and took off. So we needed more space for events and receptions and programs. And we rented a much larger space, pretty much right in the same area. And we were there for many years until the pandemic hit. And that sort of put a kibosh on, sales, events, programming. And we had difficulty with the landlord, and, there was no leeway with the rent and everything, which was very high. So we then 3 years ago moved to the location we're in now, on Palmer Avenue in Larchmont. And our membership is starting to grow again. The artists are coming back. We had a lot of members who resigned or moved, or they became, elderly in years, and they weren't doing that much artwork anymore. But we're bringing in younger members now, which is good, and we're thriving again. So we were happy about that. And all our members, work in different media. Our members are juried in. There's a jurying process where the members applicants have to submit images. Right now, we're doing membership online. We used to do it in person, but we're doing it online now. And we have senior members of the guild who are jurors who look at the work and accept the work or not for membership.
How many members do you have now, and how often do you do shows?
We have presently about 120 members in all different mediums, from 3D to contemporary crafts, jewelry, fiber, painting, collage, printmaking. So we have about 120 members right now. We have some community members, we have some student members, we have different membership categories. And at one point, our peak membership, when we had the large gala, we had about like 250 members. So our membership is way down. So we're trying to build that. We have about, I would say, 12 to 14 shows a year, which are a combination of group shows. We have about 6 or 7 group shows that are themes, and the artists submit whatever they want, their best work in that theme or that title for that show. And then we have members who sign up for solo shows, a 1-person show, a 2-person show, or what we call a spotlight show that have 3 or 4 members. And we have about 5 or 6 of those shows a year. We also have standing annual shows. We have a gift of art show for the holidays and a holiday boutique. We also sponsor a student show that consists of high school students' work from 4 different high schools in the Sound Shore area. The teachers select the artwork, and that's a very big show, especially for the students and their parents. We get a great turnout from that. And then we also offer a show once a year, a small work show that's both open to members and non-members. It's the only show that we do during the year that's open to non-members. And we have a juror. We select a juror for that juries the work and the awards for that small work show once a year. And then we have pop-up shows. Right now we have a pop-up show at the Tarrytown Music Hall in Tarrytown. We've had a pop-up show at the Women's Club in Bronxville. We had 2 shows there. And we've had shows in libraries, in the Greenberg Library in Greenberg, New York. And so we try to develop shows for our members that get the work in different areas of the county. And I think it's really important to have, for our members, part of their membership, to get their work out there, to give them the experience of exhibiting work, because some of our members are just starting out. They're new artists. Some artists are artists that have been painting for years. So we have a combination of artists of all different levels, let's say.
That's great, Mitchell. Thank you. Thank you for sharing your artistic journey. Thank you for telling us about the Artist Guild, and we look forward to seeing your contributions at the ROCKLAND Arts Festival itself.
Yes, thank you. I just also want to mention that we're having our 70th anniversary. The Guild was started in 1953, and we're having our 70th anniversary exhibit and reception at the Rye Art Center in Rye, New York. The reception will be October 20th from 5 to 7 p.m. And everybody in your audience is welcome to come over to see the show. I know the bridge is a little bit daunting sometimes, especially on a Friday, but maybe the traffic is going the reverse direction on that day. But we're having our big 70th anniversary celebration on October 20th.
Terrific. Thank you again, Mitchell. Appreciate
You're welcome. I appreciate it. Thanks so much.
Thank you.